Hello and welcome to Unit 4's Python tutorial. During this unit, we will talk about loops. Loops are a programming construct that is useful in situations when we have to repeat a certain tasks for a number of times. Okay, but before I move on to the loops, let's see what's here. You see, a lot of people are actually seeking help. Okay, for example, people from Tunisia are chatting. Okay, and this one from UK is seeking help. This one from California, US, and again this one from California, US is seeking to help. And if I want to help them, I should click this link to help that particular person. So you see, it's a very powerful tool. Python tutor is a very powerful tool that uh, lets one to ask for help as well as to help others. Okay, so now coming back to our loop. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, suppose we have a list containing three elements. Okay, and we want to print all the elements in the list. One way of doing this is to simply write this. Let's execute the program. Let's click the last, and you see all the elements are printed. But suppose we want to print these elements separately, one by one. So we'll have to change our program. So we will print each element at each index in the list separately. Okay, first we will print element at index 0, then at 1, and then at index 2. You know that uh, index indices starts from 0. So as the list contains three elements, so 10 is at index 0, 20 is index 1, and 30 is at index 2. And this code will print all the elements separately. Let's see. Let's run the program. Okay, you see, you have so far you whenever you run the program, you click this last button that execute the whole program in one go. But this time we want to see how the program executes step by step or line by line. Let's click this button forward that execute the program line by line. Okay, the green line that is that has executed recently, and red line which is next to be executed. So after executing the first line, this green line with the green arrow, this is the result. This is the value of the list, the value contained inside the list. This is the list A, and these are the values at index 0, 1, and 2. Okay. Now executing the next line, we see this there is a green arrow here. That means this line has executed, and this line says that print element at 0 index in the list A. So you know that this element is 10, so 10 is printed. Now the next line to be executed is this line, which prints element at index 1 of list A, and you see 20 is printed. And then third line, and the whole program is executed. So this is how we can print all the elements in a list individually or separately. Let's modify the program a bit more. Okay, suppose our list contains 10 elements instead of 3 elements. Okay, okay. Let's count the numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now the list contains 10 elements. And similarly, we want to print each and every element in the list. So we'll need to copy paste the code 7 times more. So the last element is at index 9, as the indices starts at 0, and if the total number of elements are 10, then indices will start at 0. So the first index will be 0 and the last index will be 9. Starting from 0 to 9, that means total 10 elements. Okay, now this line will print element at index 0, this one at 1, at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the code that will print all the 10 elements in the list A. Let's run the code, and let's run it step by step again by clicking the forward button. First line will put the values. Actually, two lines have executed. This first line has also executed. Sorry, second line print A0, and the element at index 0 has printed already. Now next line to be executed is this with A1. 20 is printed, which is at index, which was at index 1, and see all the elements are printed. Okay, so this is how we can print the values in a list. Suppose our list contains 50 elements. Now what are we going to do? We'll have to paste this line of code 40 more times. Don't you think it's a tedious task? So should we look for a better way to do this to achieve this goal? In fact, there is a better way. As I've told you earlier in the start of this video, that loops are useful for this purpose, and they are used in similar situations. Okay, let's see how to use a loop. Okay, there are different types of loop, but for this course we will focus only on for loops. Okay, but the concepts are quite similar. uh, with There are slight differences between different types of loop, but we will ignore these things, these concepts. Okay, for the sake of this course we will only focus on for loop. Okay, so let's see how it works. For x in a, print x. Okay, let me explain what I've written. This is a for loop. For x in a, x is a temporary variable that will hold each and every value one by one in this list. So during the first iteration of the loop, this loop will act, this statement, this print statement inside this loop for x in a, this is the start of a loop, and next statement is the body of the loop. So the body of the loops will execute 10 times because there are 10 elements in this list. Okay, so in during the first iteration, the value of x will be 10, the first element in the list. So 10 will be printed. In the second iteration, the value of x will be the second element, which is 20. So 20 will be printed. Then 30, 40, 50, and so on. Now let's execute the program step by step and see what happens. Okay, I'll click forward. In the first line, the list is populated, or the values are assigned to the list. Okay, you see index is starting from index 0 to 9, total 10 elements. Okay, I'll execute the next line. You see, this is the first iteration, so the value of x is 10. and now this line with red arrow will be executed. 10 is executed, and after executed 10, red arrow has moved back to the line 2 again at the start of the loop. Let's see. Now this time the value of x, you can see, has become 20, the second element. Okay, and in x contains the value of 20 now. Okay, so when we will execute this line print x, 20 must be printed on the screen. Let's see what happens. Okay, you see 20 has printed. The cursor has, or the control or the red arrow has moved back again to the line 2. This time the value of x must be the third element, 30. You see, this is the value of x. Okay, this is now 30. Now this time 30 must be printed on screen. Let's see. You see 30 has printed on screen, and this time value is 40, and it's moving. Okay, so this way all the 10 values in the list have printed. Let's move back to our code editor, and we see how efficiently we have written a code that prints all the 10 values within the list. The code is more readable now and is very short. Okay, so it's very helpful way to write programs when same thing or same calculation is repeated a number of times. Uh, so without loops, writing programs would have been very difficult. Okay. Now, I hope you enjoyed the concept of loops. Thank you very much.